A very good afternoon, Eswatini, and welcome to your favorite teleeducation program, Home Study. My name is Lerato Mabilisa, and also joining me in the studio is my colleague Nogwazi Dlamini and the sign language interpreter Nomcebo Dlamini. A very good afternoon, Nogwazi.
A very good afternoon, Lerato, and of course a very good afternoon to our viewers back at home on this beautiful but cold, very cold Friday afternoon. We hope that you are ready for your day of learning. Are you ready?
I am ready for the day of learning. What does the day of learning look like today?
Okay, guys, back at home, this is what your timetable for today looks like. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we have English language for the grades 1 and 2 with Pilile Matebula, and the topic is Parts of My Body. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have French for the grades 3 and 4 with Mark Kiomba, and the topic is Introducing Oneself. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have Science for the grades 5 and 6 with Ngosinati Bembe, and the topic is Classification of Animals. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have Mathematics for the Form 1s and 2s with Jengsile Makakula, and the topic is Measuring and Drawing Angles in Degrees. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have Biology for the Form 4s with Mlulegi Simelane, and the topic is Classification of Living Things Part 3. From 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. we have English language for the Form 4s with Kombisa Lukele, and the topic is Informal and Formal Register Writing.
Do not forget, dear viewer at home, that we also have social media platforms which are YouTube and Facebook, where we are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. Do not forget to click that subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification. We also have a WhatsApp number, which pops up from time to time on your screen, where you can send questions which are as relevant as possible. Please do not call us. Emphasis on please do not call. Do not send voice notes, just text us.
Yes, because we will not be able to get to those, unfortunately. Now, grades 1 and 2, get comfortable, because after the break is your lesson, English language with Pilile Matebula. Lerato will be taking you through that. We will be right back after this.
Eswatini, your favorite show, is back. The Spotlight Season 2 returns with an exciting new twist. We are taking the kingdom's #1 music talent search digital. One lucky winner will drive away in a brand new Kia Picanto, get a recording deal, and walk away with fantastic prizes, including a trendy Huawei P40 Pro. This year, the application process has been made better, easier, and brighter. To apply, simply follow the application process on the Spotlight and MTN Eswatini social media platforms. And remember to download the Ayoba and Music Time apps on your mobile device to complete your registration into the Spotlight Season 2. Visit yellowhub.co.sz/the spotlight/apply. The audition dates are as follows. Manzini, 26 September to the 1st of October. Shiselweni, the 3rd to the 8th of October. Hoho, 10th to the 15th of October. Lubombo, 17th to the 22nd of October. Shine bright like the star that you are on the Spotlight Season 2.
Welcome back, grade 1s and 2s. This is the first subject for the day, and you are learning English language with teacher Philile Mathebula. My name is Lerato Mabilisa, and also joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter Nomcebo Dlamini. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, Lerato.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm alright. So today's topic in the English language lesson is parts of my body.
Yes, it's parts of my body.
What would you expect the viewer to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Well, I expect the learner to listen to a story, which I'm going to read to them, identify parts of the body, and then read new words.
Okay. Without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, good afternoon. How are you? Good afternoon, how are you? Sawubona, sawubona. Unjani, sawubona, unjani. Good afternoon, how are you? Good afternoon, how are you? Good afternoon, dear learner. Welcome to our English lesson for foundation phase, that is grade 1 and grade 2. I am your teacher, Teacher Philile Mathebula, and I'll be teaching you English. Our topic for today is parts of my body. It is parts of my body. Now, dear learner, this is what I expect you to have learned by the end of the lesson. I expect you to listen to a story, identify body parts, and then read words, which I am going to help you read. Now, dear learner, let us look back at our previous lesson with teacher Vilagati. On your previous lesson, dear learner, you did sounds. I hope you remember, dear learner, you did sounds. And these are the sounds that you did. Sound S, sound S, and sound E, sound E, sound T, sound T, sound P, sound P. I remember, dear learner, that you listed objects that begin with these sounds. Teacher Vilagati also gave you some homework to do, and she asked you to draw a picture that begins with any of these sounds. For example, dear learner, you might have drawn a picture that begins with sound S. You might have drawn the picture of a sun, because the word sun begins with the sound S. It begins with the sound S. If you did your homework, dear learner, you may just give yourselves a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good, dear learner. I hope that you will continue doing your work. Now, dear learner, may we look at days of the week. Previously, we've been looking at weather, but today we shall do days of the week. So, there are 7 days in a week. There are 7 days in a week. So, here it says days of the week. Now, we are going to say these days of the week after me, dear learner. Sunday, Sunday, Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Friday, Saturday, Saturday. Now there are 7 days in a week. Dear learner, what day is it today? Good. Today is Friday. Today is Friday. Now let us go back to our chart and look at Friday. Now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's Friday. So today is Friday. Thank you very much, dear Lena. We will practice days of the week some more next time. Now, getting into our day's lesson, dear Lena. As I said, we are having our topic, parts of my body. Let's read together, dear Lena. Parts of my body. Now, dear Lena, I hope you already see a boy there. His name is Lunga. His name is Lunga. Now Lunga has his hands up high and he's showing us all the parts of his body. I hope you are standing up right now, dear Lena, with your hands up high. Those are your body parts. Now I'd like you to touch yourself anywhere, dear Lena. Touch yourself. Those are parts of your body. Those are parts of your body. Now, dear Lena, look closely to the picture. Which body parts can you see? Yes, Lunga has fingers. Lunga has a hand. Lunga has an arm. Lunga has a shoulder. Unfortunately, his hands are up there, but the shoulder should be right there. Lunga has a head. Lunga has an eye. Lunga has an ear. Lunga has a neck. He also has a knee over there. He also has a leg, foot, and those tiny toes over there. Now, these are body parts. These are body parts. Now, dear Lena, I am going to read you a story. Remember, I said earlier that by the end of the lesson, you should have listened to a story. I'd like you to sit comfortably and be ready for our story. The title of the story is Look at Me. Let's read together, dear Lena. Look at me. Now, dear Lena, what do you see on the picture? Yes, there is Lunga again. And where is Lunga, dear Lena? He's in a forest. He seems to be walking somewhere. The title of the story, dear Lena, is Look at Me. What do you think the story is going to be about? What is it that we are going to be looking at Lunga? Let me read the story, dear Lena, and we will find out what the story is about. Once there was a small boy who lived in a forest. His name was Lunga. He had never seen a mirror before. Dear Lena, where did Lunga live? Yes, Lunga lived in a forest. He lived in a forest and he had never seen a mirror before. Dear Lena, have you seen a mirror before? What happens when you look in the mirror? Of course, you see yourself in there. Let us read on, dear Lena, and find out what happened as he was walking in the forest. One day, he walked deep into the forest looking for food. He came to the edge of the forest and saw a big, beautiful house. He saw a big, beautiful house. There is Lunga, dear Lena. Now he is seeing this big, beautiful house. He's still walking and he sees this big, beautiful house. Let me read on, dear Lena. As he came closer to the house, he could smell something nice with his nose. He could smell something yummy. Something was being cooked in that house. And he smelled it with his nose. He smelled it with his nose. Let me read on, dear Lena. He walked into the house and found that there was nobody inside. The house was empty. No one was in there. As he walked in, there was a big mirror in the passage. Now there's Lunga, dear Lena. He is now inside the house. He finds nobody, but he sees a mirror. There's Lunga over there. He's looking at himself in the mirror now. The boy stood there and wondered. He was looking at himself. Who is that? He came up close to the mirror and saw that he was looking at himself. Remember, dear Len, I had asked what you see when you look into the mirror, and we all said that we see ourselves. So there is Lunga over there. He is seeing himself in the mirror. I hope you can see, dear Lena, that he has his reflection over there. Who is that in the mirror? So he came close and saw that he was looking at himself. He touched his big head. Ah, there was his hair. He did not know that his hair was black. Can you touch your head, dear Lena? Touch your head. Yes, that is your head. Does your head have hair? Maybe and maybe not. Now there is Lunga. He touched his face. He had a nose and big eyes. He had ears too. He touched his ears. Wow! And a mouth. He looked at his hands. He had 5 fingers. And his arms and shoulders. His shoulders were big too. He had 2 legs. There are his legs. He had 2 legs. He also saw his knees. They looked a bit funny because they were white, but he loved them all the same. Why do you think Lunga's knees were white? Maybe he was playing in the sand and they got dirty, but Lunga loved his knees all the same. And 2 feet. Now Lunga also sees his feet over there. On each foot there were 5 toes. And then he began to sing. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Who was singing, dear Lena? Not me, but Lunga. He was looking at himself in the mirror and he was singing the song I've just sang to you. I hope you also sang along, dear Lena. As he sang the song, he did not notice that the owner of the house was back. Oh, someone was in trouble now. Lunga was in trouble. What do you think the owner of the house would do to Lunga? There is the big man behind Lunga. He was just singing and he did not notice that the owner of the house was back. Remember, dear Lena, this is not Lunga's house. He was just walking by and then he entered the house without permission. Dear Lena, if you were the man, what were you going to do to Lunga? Let's read and find out, dear Lena, what this man did to Lunga. Let me go back a bit. As he sang, he did not notice that the owner of the house was back. As he looked again in the mirror, a giant stood behind him. There is the giant. The giant was smiling and singing. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Now, dear Lena, the giant sang with Lunga. Maybe he was just a good man. There he is, with his hands on his shoulders, singing along with Lunga. He didn't give Lunga a hiding, but he was just a kind man. He helped him sing, and as Lunga sang, he was identifying some parts of his body. That is the head, the shoulders, the knee, and the knee is litvolo in Siswati, and also his toes. Now, dear Lena, I hope you enjoyed the story, and our story was about this boy who went into a forest and started seeing himself in a mirror, and then he sang a song about his body parts. Now, dear Lena, there is Lunga again. There are body parts that we saw in the first picture of Lunga, and Lunga there is still the same picture. He still has the same body parts. And now, dear Lena, may we move on. And now it's time for us to all sing this song. I hope you are going to enjoy the song. The song says, if you are happy and you know it, clap your hands. So I hope you are up now. We are going to sing, dear Lena. Now let us begin. 1, 2, 3, start. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, do all four.
If
Woo! If you're happy and you know it, do all four. Woo! Thank you very much, dear Lena. I hope you were singing and you enjoyed the song. Lerato seems to want to do it some more. We'll do it next time. Thank you, dear Lena. I also said that we will read new words, dear Lena. So now, dear Lena, let us read these words together. Head, head. Eye, ears, nose, mouth, neck, shoulder. Excuse me, dear Lena. Let's continue. Shoulder. Shoulders. Arm. Hand. Fingers. Knees. Leg. Toes. Dear Lena, may we do this once more. Head. Eye. Ears. Nose. Mouth. Neck. Shoulders. Arm. Hand. Fingers. Knees. Leg. Toes. Thank you, dear Lena. I hope you are reading along. Now, dear Lena, may we look back at what we learned today. Let us look back at what we learned today. So our lesson for today, dear Lena, was on body parts. And we read a story about Lunga, who went into the house and saw himself in the mirror, and as he looked at himself in the mirror, he saw his body parts, which included the head, eye, ear, nose, mouth, neck, shoulder, arm, hand, finger, leg, foot, and toes. We also read new words, dear Lena, which I hope that you shall continue doing reading at home, and also ask your family members to read stories to you. This will make you a good reader of the English language. Thank you so much, dear Lena. See you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Teacher Pilile. That was a very interesting English language lesson. I'm hoping you're going to come again with another interesting lesson.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay. If you're doing grade 3 and 4, do not go anywhere, because your teacher, Mark Nkiomba, for French will be back after this infomercial.
Did you think about what I said?
I did, and I've made my decision. I'm not going to wait for the courts to return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well? How did your interview go?
Bad. Really bad.
Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
Because I want to help you out,
Your
I really
father
can't.
won't let you.
It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good
Look,
salesperson.
I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Maybe you should find someone who feels as lonely as you do. Someone who knows how to spoil you and likes it.
Bonjour, my name is Lirato Mabilisa, and with me in the studio is the French teacher, Mr. Mark Kiomba, and the topic for today is introducing one's self. A very good afternoon, Mr. Kiomba. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Je vais très bien, merci.
Très bien.
So today's topic is introducing oneself.
Oui.
Okay.
C'est présenté.
Okay.
Ouais.
What would you expect the viewer to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay. By the end of the lesson, they should be able to tell people their name. They should be able to use the pronoun I and preposition a, and they should be able to use the verb to have, avoir, to live, donc habiter, to study, étudier, and they should be able to count from 0 to 10 and tell people where they stay and where they attend school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Okay. Okay, welcome, dear Elena, to your French lesson for grade 3 and grade 4. My name is Monsieur Mark Macaulay Kiomba, and I will be your French teacher. Today, I know, please, you should have with you your notebook, your pencil or pen, and eraser. So today's topic is se présenter. Se présenter. In English, introducing oneself. Why are we learning this topic? We are learning it so that at the end of the lesson, you must be able to introduce yourself and talk about yourself. Alors, what do we need? The prerequisite knowledge or connaissance déjà acquise. We should know from the previous lesson, bonjour, salut, comment ça va, ça va bien, et toi, and et vous. Okay, the keyword for today. We have comment tu t'appelles, comment tu t'appelles, what is your name, je m'appelle, which means I am called or my name is, quel âge as-tu, quel âge as-tu, how old are you, j'ai, I have, où habites-tu, où habites-tu, where do you live or where do you stay, où étudies-tu, où étudies-tu, where are you attending school, and the preposition à, which means at, to, or in. Those are our keywords. Now, let us watch the conversation between Nokpila and Zamo.
Salut.
Salut.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamon. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Okay, we're going to watch that dialogue again, but I want you in that dialogue to pick the following. Pick a sentence or a question that means, what is your name in the dialogue? And my name is. Say, let's focus at those two things in this first dialogue. Let's watch the dialogue again.
One, go.
Salut.
Salut.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamon. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Au revoir.
Au revoir. for watching that beautiful dialogue. In this dialogue, before I explain, I'll try to read it for you again once more. We have Nokupila and we have Zamo. Nokupila, salut. Salut. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci. Et toi? Ça va bien. Comment tu t'appelles? Je m'appelle Zamo. Et toi? Je m'appelle Nokpila. So in this dialogue, I'll focus on comment tu t'appelles. Je m'appelle. Et toi? And I'll also talk about je m'appelle. Still again, je m'appelle there. Okay. Now, comment tu t'appelles means what is your name? Comment tu t'appelles? Can you repeat after me? Say, comment tu t'appelles?
Comment tu t'appelles?
Well done. I can hear you. So, comment tu t'appelles? So, it means what is your name? Tu t'appelles. Tu t'appelles. Comment tu t'appelles? What is your name? Now, the response to that is je. Je m'appelle. And then you insert your name. Je m'appelle Zamo. Like in the dialogue, say, je m'appelle Zamo. As my name is Mark, I'll say, je m'appelle Mark. If your name is Sibusiso, say, je m'appelle Sibusiso. And you say, et toi? We did this last time. Et toi? Et toi means and you. No, et toi means and you. Then we move to je m'appelle. You insert your name. So when someone says et toi means and you, so you have to respond to that. And then you say je m'appelle. And then you insert your name. Now I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer to me. Comment tu t'appelles? Good. Well done. I heard you. You said je m'appelle and then you inserted your name. Très bien. Okay, let's move. Now that we've learned, let us watch that dialogue again. I think this time around you'll get it very well because you have learned what most of the word means. Thank you. Let's watch the dialogue once again.
Salut,
Salut.
comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va? Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamon. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Okay, merci. Thank you for watching that dialogue. Before we move to the second dialogue, we're going to talk about numbers. We're going to count. Nous allons compter de 0 à 10. We're going to count from 0 to 10. De 0 à 10. I want you to repeat after me. Let's go. On y va? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's good. I want you to repeat after me again. There is a part that I like in these numbers from 0 to 10. The 0 at this I like when I start from 5 and 7. So you start like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you reach here, you go like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I like that sound of s. 5, 6, 7. Okay, now I want you to look at me now. We're going to count, so you'll count after me. Let's go. 0,
0,
1,
1,
2,
2,
3,
3,
4,
4,
5,
5,
5,
5,
6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8,
9,
9,
and 10.
and 10.
10.
10.
Okay, très bien. So I'll count a bit faster than that. I know now you understand. Let's count again. 0,
0,
1,
1,
2,
2,
3,
3,
4,
4,
5,
5,
6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8,
9,
9,
10.
10.
Très bien. Bravo, 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 bravo. Très bien. That was good. Alors, on continue. So, now you know the numbers very well, from 0 to 10. Let us do this exercise. Les chiffres. So, you're going to tell me the spelling of each number here, or you're going to tell me these numbers in French. I will call the number and you tell me which one it is from what you can see on the screen. Give me or point at 0. Oh, that one. Is it this one? No, that's not 0. 0 sound the same in English. 0. This is 0. Très bien, that's good. 0. Point at 8. Good. That's wheat. This one, that's wheat. Good. Wheat. Give me 2. 2. This one? No. This one? No. Obvious is this one. 2. Très bien. That is 2. 2. Don't say ducks or what. No, 2. And this, the last one, not the last one, before the last one, I want you to give me 4. Point at 4. Yes, that is 4. So is car. This is car. Don't say quoi, but it's car. That's how we read car in French. 4. 4. And we have 6. Give me 6. Obvious. That's 6. Good. 6. Bravo. Très bien. Bravo, bravo, bravo. C'est très bien. That was good with the numbers. So, we're going to use the numbers in this second dialogue. So, in our second dialogue, still is Nokpila and Zamo. In this dialogue, I want you to find the sentences that mean how old are you and I am 8 years old or I am 9 years old. So I want you to find those two sentences in the second dialogue. Let's watch.
Bonjour.
Oh, bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va bien, merci. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamon. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 8 ans. 8 ans. Et toi?
J'ai 10 ans. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Très bien. Okay. I'm going to read this dialogue again once more. I want you to listen carefully. Still Nokupila and Zamo. Nokupila. Bonjour. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci. Et toi? Ça va bien. Comment tu t'appelles? Je m'appelle Zamo. I want us to focus on this one because the one that I've underlined, we did this. So, quel âge as-tu? Quel âge as-tu? J'ai 8 ans. J'ai 8 ans. Et toi? J'ai 10 ans. So, I will talk about quel âge as-tu? J'ai 8 ans. Et toi? And j'ai 10 ans. So, quel âge as-tu? Quel âge as-tu? How old are you? J'ai 8 ans. J'ai 8 ans. Et toi? I am 8 years old. J'ai 8 ans means I am 8 years old. Et toi, we did this last time. Et toi means and you. So, if you are 10, then you say j'ai 10 ans. If you are 2, you count 0 and 2. Say j'ai 2 ans. If you are 3, you say you count 0, 1, 2, 3 and you say j'ai 3 ans. I hope that's clear. Now, if you are 5 years old, what will you say? I want to ask you that question. Quel âge as-tu? Good. So you count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you say j'ai 5 ans. J'ai 5 ans. Très bien. So, let's proceed. Now that I have explained, let's watch the second dialogue. In the second dialogue, I want you. Right, okay, it's the third dialogue. Sorry. In the third dialogue, I want you to get this word or sentences or questions. Where do you live? From the dialogue. It's in French, but I want you to get this question. Where do you live? And I live at. Where the other one? Where do you attend school? And the last one, I attend school at. So get it from the third dialogue that we're going to watch. Let's watch it.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va bien, merci. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamo. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 8 ans. Et toi?
J'ai 10 ans. Où habites-tu?
J'habite à Mbabane. Et toi?
J'habite à Sitegi. Où étudies-tu?
J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. Et toi?
J'étudie à l'école primaire de Stegi, Nazarene. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Merci. C'est très bien. Je vais lire. I will read for you again that same dialogue so that you get it very well. Nokpila and Zamo still. Bonjour. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci. Et toi? Comment tu t'appelles? Je m'appelle Zamo. Quel âge as-tu? J'ai 8 ans. Et toi? Où habites-tu? J'habite à Mbabane. Et toi? J'habite à Stegi. So that's the sentence. I'll start from that sentence. The other ones we've done. So, où habite? This question. Où habites-tu? J'habite à Mbabane. Et toi? J'habite à Stegi. And the other one is, où étudies-tu? J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint Max. So, I'll focus on those ones. Alors, in this dialogue 3, that question I said, où habites-tu? So, où, here, with accent, that accent there, means where. Où habites-tu? So, means where do you stay? Où habites-tu? Where do you stay? So, your response should be j'habite. J'habite à Mbabane. I stay in Mbabane. So, où étudies-tu? Still où. Remember, I say où means where. And the same où is here, so it means where. Où étudies-tu? So, where do you attend school? Or where are you studying? J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. I'm studying at Saint-Max Primary School. You know, in French it goes the other way around. L'école primaire Saint-Max. Saint-Max Primary School. If you are schooling, let's say at let's say Anadel, you say j'étudie à l'école primaire Anadel. If it's MDS, j'étudie à l'école primaire MDS. Okay. Now I've explained, we're going to watch again so that you get it very well after explanation. Let's watch the dialogue.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. Et toi?
Ça va bien, merci. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Zamon. Et toi?
Je m'appelle Nokpila. Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 8 ans. Et toi?
J'ai 10 ans. Où habites-tu?
J'habite à Mbabane. Et toi?
J'habite à Sitegi. Où étudies-tu?
J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. Et toi?
J'étudie à l'école primaire de Stegi, Nazarene. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Très bien. Très bien. Good. So let's proceed. I want you to look at these pictures. I know you recognize these places around the world, around Swaziland and around the world. The first one, this one, I know you can see what's the place. And this one, I know. This one and the last one. So, où habites-tu? I've just explained that. Où habites-tu? Can you give me an answer? On the first one, what will you say? J'habite à Mbabane. Good. Mbabane. That's Mbabane. J'habite à Mbabane. The second one, this one. Où habites-tu? Good. J'habite à Manzini. à Manzini. Good. The third one, this one. Où habites-tu? J'habite à Eswatini. Good. Eswatini. Good. And the last one. Où habites-tu? J'habite. Good. À Paris. Très bien. J'habite à Paris. Très bien. J'habite à Paris. Okay. Learners, here's your homework. After we've learned this is your homework now. You have to answer those questions in French. Bonsoir. Comment ça va? Comment tu t'appelles? Quel âge as-tu? Où habites-tu? Où étudies-tu? Okay. In conclusion, you have learned today comment tu t'appelles, which means what's your name. Je m'appelle, and then you insert your name. Je m'appelle Sibusiso. Je m'appelle Akizimana. Just like that. So the third one, quel âge as-tu? How old are you? J'ai 8 ans. Et toi? I am 8 years old. And you? And the last one, not the last one, but j'ai 10 ans means I am 10 years old. Où habites-tu? Where do you live? J'habite en Mbabane. I live in Mbabane. Où étudies-tu? Where are you attending school? J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. So you insert the name of your school. J'étudie à l'école primaire Saint-Max. J'étudie à l'école primaire. You insert the name of your school. Okay, dear Lena, let's meet next time when we'll be talking about ma famille. Au revoir.
Au revoir, merci. It was a very interesting lesson today. I'm hoping you're going to come again, and I'm hoping that next time il n'est pas froid.
Yeah, il ne fait pas froid.
Oui. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's hope you come again next time, as I had said.
Okay.
So grade 5s and 6s, get closer to your screen because your science teacher, Nkosinathi Bembe, will be back after this infomercial.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We are giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Welcome grade 5s and 6s. This is the third lesson for today and you are learning science with teacher Nkosinati Bembe. My name is Lirato Mabilisa and also joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter Nompumelelo Hatebe. A very good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Lera.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm alright. So today's topic is classification of animals.
Yeah, today we are learning about classification of animals. So we are saying by the end of the lesson, we are expecting our learners to first classify learners into two groups, animals into two groups, sorry my learner, and also classify vertebrates into 5 classes and describe the characteristics of each class of vertebrates. And the fourth one, I'm expecting my learners to classify invertebrates into 5 groups and also describe the characteristics of each class of invertebrates. Dear learner, the importance of this lesson. Firstly, we like to one, my learner, you have to classify or group animals into their classes. So we are expecting that my learners, you have to understand or look at the features of each class of each group of animals, okay, so that we can know how to handle them and treat them according to their needs to avoid losing them. So so now my dear learner, you know that in the environment there are a lot of animals and there are a lot of differences amongst them, but my dear learner, there are some similarities among each group of animals. Let us look at the pictures that follows my learner. Firstly, let us look at the horse. That is the horse. We are saying if you look at the horse, we can see that there is a vertebral column from the head to the tail. That is, we see the vertebrate from the head to the tail. Number 2, we can also see the bones from the horse that we have. That means we can see the bones, and then these bones are covered with flesh. So my dear learner, if you see or if you identify such an animal that has got a vertebrate, the bones, and those bones are covered with flesh, we can simply say that animal is a vertebrate. And looking to the earthworm next to the horse, you can see that the earthworm does not have the skeleton or the bones inside the earthworm, and there is no vertebra inside this earthworm. So we say there are no vertebra. There are no vertebra, and also there is no skeleton or bones that are covered with flesh. So we are saying this animal can be classified into an invertebrate. My dear learner, let us try and define the 2 terms, that is vertebrate and invertebrate. So we are saying vertebrates are animals that have a backbone and an internal skeleton. Examples of these animals that could be the dog, the human being, the duck, and the frog. So with the invertebrates, we are saying invertebrates are all animals. Invertebrates are all animals that do not have a backbone and internal skeleton. Examples of these animals that could be the earthworm, the grasshopper, the spider, and also the pet. So, my dear learner, let us try and look at these animals. These animals are a mixture of vertebrates and invertebrates. So, let us try and pick at least 3 vertebrates and also 3 invertebrates. When looking at these animals, the first animal that is a cow, you can see that a cow has got a vertebral column and its bones are covered with flesh. So we can classify a cow as a vertebrate, And we can also see a rabbit, and a rabbit also has got the internal skeleton and the vertebra. And we can also say a vertebrate could be a vertebra. A rabbit is a vertebra. Sorry, my dear learner. So now, when you look at the other animal, I can pick the pig here. Here is a pig. We can also see that a pig has got what we call a vertebral column, and its bones are also covered with flesh. So we can say a pig is a vertebrate. And we can look at another 3 for invertebrates. Now that we have three animals for vertebrates, let's look at invertebrates. In my pictures here, I can see a shrimp. A shrimp does not have a vertebral column. A shrimp does not have some bones that are covered with flesh. So we can say this animal is an invertebrate. And also a crab, my dear learner, when you can look at the crab, it does not have the bones that are covered with flesh. Instead, it has got an outer hard shell that is an exoskeleton. So therefore, we said a crab is an invertebrate. And the last one could be the bees. If you can see the bees next to the flower, my dear learner, you can see that these bees do not have the internal skeleton, or else do not have the vertebral column. Now, my dear learner, that means a bee also falls under invertebrates. Let us move on, my dear learner, and look at vertebrates alone. So we can group vertebrates into different classes. We can group vertebrates, my dear learner, into different classes. So we have the first class being the mammal, the second one being the birds, the third one being the reptiles, the fourth one being the fish, and the last group could be the amphibians. So that means we have got only 5 classes of vertebrates. So now, my dear learner, let us try and discuss the characteristics of the classes of vertebrates. Let us describe the characteristics of the classes of vertebrates. Now, looking at the table that I've shown you, my dear learner, you can see that there is a mammal. So how do I see a mammal? First of all, mammals are all animals that live on land. All or most animals that live on land. And their body is covered with fur or hair. And they also give birth to live young ones. Mammals take good care of their young ones. And these animals are warm-blooded animals. And they have lungs for breathing. For example, you can give it to a human being, the dog, the pig, the giraffe, and etc., etc. So if we move on to the second one, we can talk about the birds. That is the second class that we have from the vertebrates. Birds are all animals that live on land. All their body is covered with feathers. Their bodies is covered in feathers. And birds have got a pair of feet and the pair of wings. They all lay eggs with a hard shell. And birds take good care of their young ones. And these animals are warm-blooded animals. And they have lungs to breathe. So for example, we can have the vulture, the chicken, the duck, the eagle, and the parrot. So let's move on to the third class, that is the reptiles. We are saying reptiles live mostly on land. Their body is covered in dry scales, and reptiles also lay leathery eggs. They do not take care of their young ones. And this animal is a cold-blooded animal. For example, we have the crocodile, the tortoise, the snake, the chameleon. The fourth class, my dear Lena, that is the fish. We are saying a fish lives in water. Their body is covered with scales, uses fins instead of legs or wings to move. So it lays millions of soft eggs in water, does not care for its young ones, and this animal is a cold-blooded animal. And it has got gills for breathing. For example, we can have the bream, the tuna, the salmon, perch, and also the pilchard. My dear Lena, let us look at the last class of vertebrates. That is the amphibian. That is the amphibian. So we are saying amphibian, my dear Lena, lives in water and on land. It lives both in water and on land. Amphibian has got skin that is thin and moist. It lays hundreds of soft jelly-like eggs in swampy areas. They do not take care of their young ones. These animals are cold-blooded animals, and they have lungs to breathe when fully grown. So the example could be the frog and the toad. Okay, my dear Lena, as we've been looking at these vertebrates, we are saying vertebrates, some of them are cold-blooded while others are warm-blooded. And there are two vertebrates that are warm-blooded. That is the mammal and the bird. So we are saying an animal that is a warm-blooded animal is an animal that can regulate its temperature. That animal can regulate its temperature irrespective of how hot or cold the environment is. Therefore, a mammal and a bird can regulate its temperature. And the last three, that is the reptile, the amphibian, and also the fish, cannot regulate their own temperature. They get hot when it is hot and colder when it is cold. So, my dear Lena, let us move on to look at the invertebrates. So, we are saying invertebrates, my dear Lena, can also be classified into five classes. That is the insect, that is number 1. The arachnids, that is number 2. The myriapods, that is number 3. Crustaceans, and also the mollusks. So, my dear Lena, let us try and break down each class of invertebrates by looking at the characteristics of each class. So, firstly, we have an insect. So how do I see an insect? So we are saying an insect has got 6 legs. An insect also has 3 body segments. That is the head, that is also the thorax, and the abdomen. So it has got a pair of feelers and also has what we call compound eyes. An example of an insect could be the ant, the bee, the grasshopper, and many more. So secondly, we can look at the arachnids. Arachnids, my dear Lena, has got 8 legs, 2 body segments, simple eyes, and they do not have feelers. So for example, we have the spider, the tick, the scorpion, the mite, and many more. So moving on, my dear Lena, to the third one, that is the myriapod. A myriapod has got many legs, and its head is followed by many segments. A myriapod has got also 1 pair of feelers, and it has got what we call simple eyes. These animals can be the centipede and the millipede. So my dear Lena, let's move on to the 4th animal. So we have the crustaceans. That is another class of invertebrate. A crustacean has got a hard outer covering with 5 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of feelers. So we are saying examples of crustaceans are the crab, the lobster, and the prawns. So the last one, my dear Lena, could be the mollusk. So we are saying a mollusk, my dear Lena, has got a moist skin, a soft body, and muscular. It is moist, soft, and muscular body. And some of them have outer shells for protection. That could be the snail and the slug. My dear Lena, as you have been listening, I've been talking about feelers after feelers. So what are the feelers, by the way? The feelers, my dear Lena, are the ones, the small things that are like an aerial there, that are used for sensitivity. These feelers are used for sensitivity. It helps the animal to protect itself or find food. My dear Lena, let us try and answer the following questions. So now, question number one. State the differences between vertebrate and invertebrate. State the differences between vertebrate and invertebrate. Question number 2, that could be give the name of the classes of animals described by the following statements. Give the name of the class of animals described by the following statements. Statement number 1. An animal with 3 pairs of legs, 2 feelers, and a distinct head, thorax, and the abdomen. An animal with 3 pairs of legs, 2 feelers, a distinct head, thorax, and an abdomen. And B, we are saying an animal with a segmented body and 4 pairs of jointed legs. I hope you have tried to answer the first question, my dear learner. Let us try to answer it together. The first question states that you have to state the difference between a vertebrate and an invertebrate. So, my dear learner, we are saying a vertebrate has got what? A vertebra. Has got a vertebra column. It has got a vertebral column. And a vertebrate has got what we call bones that are covered with flesh. So all those animals that have got bones that are covered with flesh, that has got a vertebral column, we are saying those animals are vertebrates. While invertebrates are all the animals that do not have the vertebra, that do not have the vertebra, that do not have a skeleton or a bony skeleton that is covered with flesh. There are some invertebrates that have got an outer skeleton, but those animals are not vertebrates but are invertebrates. Like the crab, it has got an outer skeleton, and it does not mean that because it has got a hard shell it is a vertebrate. It is still an invertebrate because it does not have the vertebral column. Okay. Give the name of the class of animals described by the following statements. Give the name of the class of animals described by the following statements. Statement number 1. An animal with 3 pairs of legs, 2 feelers, a distinct head, the thorax and the abdomen. That animal is called an insect. That animal is called an insect. An animal with a segmented body, and 4 pairs of jointed legs is called an arachnid. So, my dear learner, that we have tried to answer these questions is good, but you can also refer more of this work from page 9 to page 20 from the Pupils Book in grade 6. Let us move on, my dear learner, and find out what exactly we have learned today. So, my dear learner, firstly, we've learned that animals can be classified into vertebrates and invertebrates. We've learned that animals can be classified into vertebrates and invertebrates. And we've also described vertebrates as animals that have a skeletal system, and that skeletal system, my dear learner, remember, it must be covered with flesh. And we described invertebrates as all animals that do not have the skeletal system that is covered with flesh and also do not have the vertebrates. So we then moved on, my dear learner, and classify vertebrates into 5 classes. Namely the mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and also the reptiles. We have classified vertebrates into 5 classes, that is the mammals, the birds, the fish, amphibians, and the reptiles. So we moved on and classified invertebrates as insects, arachnids, mollusks, crustaceans, and the myrapods. We have also classified invertebrates into insects, arachnids, mollusks, crustaceans, and myrapods. We have moved on, my dear Lena, and find out or discuss the features of each class of vertebrates. So, my dear Lena, without a waste of time, our lesson ends here. So I would like that you enjoy the next lesson, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the informative lesson. I'm hoping you're going to come again next time and give us another informative lesson as the son.
Thank you, Leila.
Okay. If you're in Form 1, Form 2, and Form 4, get closer to your screen because the mathematics, biology, and English language teachers will be back after this infomercial.
Better Health, Better Life. It's another season on your favorite program, Better Health, Better Life, here on Eswatini TV.
Ayinibingelele kunemukele babukele emakhaya kulolu hlelo i-Better Health, Better Life. Lona thulula hlelo ngunokuphila masangana.
It's all about our health, our better health today, and our better life tomorrow. In the midst of this global pandemic coronavirus, Better Health, Better Life brings you closer to your health professionals.
Nangabe nje ngidla into legcwele mafutha lento ngidla
So siyakhuthaza ukuthi lala abahlala nalala abanashukela abafunde nabo ngaloshukela.
Watch out for another fresh season of Better Health, Better Life on Eswatini TV. It's getting bigger and better every season. This season with COVID-19 is a must to watch for everyone in every home. Better Health, Better Life, your gateway to a healthy living.
At this point, you shouldn't feel as if you do not have it. You have it for sure.
Find something you like doing.
Yeah.
Say invest in yourself.
I am your host, Dianza Dlamini, and you're watching Fame Unfiltered. Good night and God bless.
Usiseka uvuseleleke wakheke emoyeni nomculo wetenkolo bahlabeleli balapha eSwatini. Sikulethele abahlabeleli abadala nabo lapha sekhula emculweni wetenkolo bahlabela bukhoma lapha eSwatini. Siphinde sixoxisane kabanti ngalaba kwentako emsebentini wabo wekuhlabelela igospel konke kungidinisa simakathe. Ungaphutheka ngomculo wegospel khona lapha eSwatini TV.
A very good afternoon to our viewers back at home. This is Home Study on Eswatini TV. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini, and right now at this very moment we are doing mathematics for the Form 1s and the Form 2s with Jengsile Makakula, and the topic is measuring and drawing angles in degrees. Am I right?
You are right, Nogwazi.
How are you doing this afternoon,
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How's the cold treating you?
It's better when it's cold.
Oh,
you can
okay.
dress up.
Okay, if you say so. What are you expecting your Form 1s and your Form 2s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
I'm expecting them to know how to write angles in degrees, also how to draw acute, obtuse, and reflex angles.
All right.
So as to measure the same.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Jengsile. We hope that you are ready, viewers back at home. And also a reminder about our social media platforms. That's YouTube and Facebook, where we are live right now. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Jengsile, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Our lesson today is on angles. So let us just go to our lesson objectives, where we are going to be writing fractions of revolutions in degrees. Remember, last time we were doing fractions of revolutions, but we just left them as fractions. But today we're going to write these in degrees. And we are also expected to measure acute, obtuse, and as well as reflex angles using a protractor. So I just so hope and believe that you already have your set of instruments, or rather your protractor with you, dear learner, because we are going to be using our protractor to measure our angles. And then we are expected to draw the acute, obtuse, and as well as reflex angles of a given size. So we will be given the size of that angle that we have to draw. From our previous lesson, dear learner, you are expected to know how to identify angles between intersecting lines or planes, and also differentiate between clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. You are also to measure rotations in revolutions and fractions of revolutions. We expect also that you know how to recognize right angles as quarter turns, and recognize acute, obtuse, straight, and reflex angles with reference to the right angle, as we did in our previous Form 1 lesson. And also, we expect you to know how to name angles using letters. Just a reminder on this one, we used two different forms. We had a part where we have a small letter written inside the angle, and we call this angle A. And also we had another case where we say maybe we have X, Y, and Z. So we call this angle X, Y, Z. Remember now, we're using three letters if it's capital letters. And the angle or the vertex is that Y, the letter in the middle, and we cap it also to show that it is where the vertex is. Now you would be asking yourself, why angles? Where do I need such? In construction, a branch of civil engineering, that is where we use angles. For any structure to be constructed, they must measure the angles thereof. Our introduction now. Let us just go through what we learned in our previous lesson. We mentioned that a rotation is measured in revolutions, and we said one revolution is defined as a complete turn. That means if you were facing a certain direction, you turn until you face the very same direction, then you have completed one revolution. And then now, when we are measuring angles, we divide this one revolution into degrees. And then this one revolution, that means the complete turn, it gives us 360 degrees, which is to say you were facing the north, and then you turn clockwise until you face the north again. It means you have finished a revolution, hence it's 360 degrees. In this 360 degrees, we can write this now in our own language in mathematics by using the symbol for degrees. We write one revolution is equal to 360 degrees like this. We use a zero, a small zero that is up here Just like when you are writing indices, the 0 is up and it's the sign for decrease. Just like when you go to hospital, they take your temperature. Even these days, because of COVID-19, wherever you go, they take your temperature and they will write maybe it's 36 degrees. It's just that for temperature, they then write a C to show that this is degrees Celsius for temperature. But the symbol degrees is the same as the one we are going to use in measuring our angles. So let us just start with this one. We said now, you know that one revolution is 360 degrees. The question now is, how many degrees are there in a right angle? From our previous lesson, you can recall that we said a right angle is a quarter of a revolution, and we said we can use a box to show that this is a right angle. So since a right angle is a quarter of a revolution, so a quarter of means a quarter multiplied by one revolution, which is 360 degrees, and that is 90 degrees. The second question says, how many degrees are there in a straight angle? In our previous lesson, we said a straight angle is half of a revolution, because a straight angle is just like this. So it is half of a revolution. So it's 1/2 of our revolution, which is 360 degrees. Therefore, the half of this is 180 degrees. So we say a straight angle is 180 degrees. That is a straight angle. We defined an acute angle as an angle that is smaller than a right angle. We said it is smaller than a right angle. So in our lesson today, we can safely say that now that we know a right angle is 90 degrees, so we can say an acute angle lies between 0 and 90 degrees. So it's an angle that is between 0 and 90 degrees. Say we have a right angle here. So our angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. And then now we have an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is an angle that is greater than 90, or we say this is greater than a right angle but smaller than a straight angle, which is to say it lies between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So a straight angle lies between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So it is bigger than what we call a right angle, but it is less than what we call a straight angle. It is between 90 and 180 degrees. Then we have our reflex angle. A reflex angle is an angle that is greater than a straight angle but less than one revolution, which is to say now it is between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. Don't worry yourself, we are going to deal with all these angles in our next slides. Then now we get into measuring angles. In your set of mathematical instruments, we have what we call a protractor. It looks like this one on our diagram, and this is used to measure angles. Maybe before we can start using it, you can see it is marked. There are two sets of numbers. There are those that have a 0 on the left, and there is a 10 here, 20 up to 180 degrees. If we can recall, we can say these numbers are numbered in a clockwise direction that we call the inside scale. And then there are other numbers starting from 0 to 180 in the outside scale. That means they are moving from our right to our left in an anti-clockwise direction. So it depends which 0 you started with, whether you're going to use the inside scale or the outside scale. It is all determined by the 0 that you have been using or the 0 that you want to use. Let us see now with our example. We are asked to measure the angle ABC. The angle ABC, as we can see, it is less than a right angle, so it is an acute angle. So now we are measuring acute and obtuse angles. So we are going to start with an acute angle. Angle A, B, C. So what you do is you take your protractor, you place it. My 0 is at the line, that is the line A, B. So you put it straight that your line AB lies on the 0. I have the 0 in my inside scale, and the B is at the center of your protractor, where all the lines, they start at this point. We have our 0 here, and the B is exactly at the center of your protractor. And then you read where this line, the line BC, cuts the scale. Remember, we are reading from the inside scale. So we have our 0 here, 10, 20, 30, and we have 40 where the line BC cuts the protractor. So our angle A, B, C is 40 degrees. Remember, we kept the B because it's where our vertex is. Hence, our angle is A, B, C. Angle ABC is 40 degrees. That is from our inside scale in our protractor. Then now, let us look at this other angle here, which is angle XYZ. As you can see, angle XYZ is bigger than a right angle because the right angle would have been here at 90 degrees. So it is an obtuse angle because it is less than 180. That is, it is less than a straight angle. So our angle is just here. Our angle is XYZ. And then we measure it. The 0 we used this time around is the one in the outside scale. So since our 0 is here, then we start counting from the right up to, this is 130 in the outside scale, and this is where the 5 is. So our angle XYZ is 135 degrees. Remember to read on the right scale, because you can make the mistake of reading from the left and then say it's 45, yet it's quite bigger even than 90 degrees. So since our 0, that is the line XY, is on the outside scale, so it means we are going to read from the outside scale, 135 degrees. That is our angle XYZ. Now let us move on to measuring reflex angles. Reflex angles are a bit different because we said they are more than a straight angle. And looking back at our protractor can only measure up to 180 degrees because it is half a revolution. So now we have to find a way of measuring our reflex angle. And there are two ways of doing so. So we will start with method 1. We want to measure our reflex angle. The angle is KLM. It is the outside angle. If you recall from our previous lesson, we said we can have an inside angle and an outside angle. So now our reflex is the outside angle. We are measuring the outside angle. Since we said it is greater than the 180 degrees, so what we can do is we will extend the line KL to a point X. That is a straight angle, which is to say the angle XLK is 180 degrees. You can call it KLX if you want, like we did in our example, or you can say XLK. It really doesn't matter how you call it, as long as you maintain the L in the middle, because that's where our vertex is. After extending, it means that now we know that this angle here, the KLX, is 180. So we are only left with the angle XLM to measure. So we will measure XLM. We are going to use our protractor to measure XLM. Measuring the angle, we have our angle here. The angle is at L. XLM, the one in purple in our diagram here. So when we measure it, our 0 is in the outside scale. So now we start counting on the outside scale, and then we find that it is 130 degrees. So our angle XLM is 130 degrees. Remember, dear Lana, we are not asked to measure XLM, but our question was, what is the size of the angle KLM, the reflex angle? That means the outside angle. Since we said the angle KLX, which is the straight angle, is 180, and now we have measured the other portion, which is 130 degrees. So we add the two to get 310 degrees. So we say the angle KLM, our reflex angle, is 310 degrees. Remember, once you have the 180, you have to add the angle that you have measured to get the reflex angle. There is another method, like I said before, to measure our reflex angle. In this method, we are going to measure the inside angle, that is the acute angle, KLM. As we have seen, the angle that we're looking for is the outside angle. But like we said, our protractor can only measure up to 180. So now we are just going to measure the angle that is our inside angle, KLM. From our protractor, we can see the angle KLM is 50 degrees. But the 50 degrees is what we do not need, or it's what is left for us to complete a full revolution. Since you can see our angle is the outside angle, and only the portion that is 50 degrees is left to complete a full revolution. So now we are just going to subtract our answer from one complete revolution, which is 360 degrees minus the 50, and we get the 310. This is the same answer as we got from adding the 180 to the 130. So whichever method you use, you are going to get the same answer when you are measuring your reflex angle. Now let us get to the most interesting part, where we are actually drawing our angles. We will start by drawing the acute and the obtuse angles. Remember, we've been measuring, but now it's your chance to draw these angles. We are given that our angle that we are to draw is the angle CDE, 55 degrees. So we will start with the line CD. The line CD. Remember, we have to put the 0 somewhere on a line. So we need the first line, which is our line CD in our case. And also remember, we don't have CD measured, like we don't know whether it's 10 centimeters, 9 centimeters, but you must make the line long enough for you to be able to place your protractor. Say for instance, you cannot make your CD this short, because once it's short, you cannot read it from your protractor. So make your CD long enough. And then now, from our angle, it reads CDE. We can tell that D is our vertex. So D is the vertex of the angle. That means you are going to place the center of your protractor at D, because that's where your vertex is. And we will see this in the next diagram. So we have our center here at D, because D is our vertex. And then now you can see CD is long enough that we can read the 0 here and still have our line way after we have finished the line here, the one that we have with our protractor. We still can see our line CD. Now we are told that the line CD is, the angle we're measuring, the angle CDE is 55 degrees. 55 degrees. Since our 0 here is the one in the inside scale, so there is 50 and then here is 55. What you do is You then mark, like we have marked here. You put a mark on your paper besides this 55 degrees. Preferably use a line to mark than, say, for instance, you would mark like this, because if you mark like this, you will not be able to draw your angle. So you just draw it like you are drawing a line, say like this. Like we have here, we have a line marking where the 55 degrees is. Then you remove your protractor, where you will draw a line now from D to the mark as shown in the next diagram. So we are removing our protractor, and then you are drawing a line from D to our mark, and then that is where our E is. Hence we have C, D, E, because we are to draw angle C, D, E, and our angle is 55 degrees. So here is our angle, and it's an acute angle. We just follow the same steps when we are drawing obtuse angles. So even for obtuse angles, you'll just draw a line, take your protractor, measure the angle, and then you have the angle just the way you did. You then mark on your protractor, remove the protractor, and then draw the line that forms the angle. Then now, let us just look at reflex angles. Reflex angles are quite interesting because even drawing them, it's quite interesting as well as measuring them. Say we are given an angle PQR, which is 240 degrees. We have to draw angle PQR, which is 240 degrees. And remember, our protractor can only measure up to 180 degrees. So what we can do is to subtract the 180 degrees from the 240 that we want to draw. So we will say 240 minus the 180 degrees that our protractor can measure to get 60 degrees. Now you can see we can measure the 180 and we can also measure the 60 degrees. Now we are going to draw the line PQ. Drawing the line PQ, as we can see, then we have to extend this line to form a straight angle. I called this point here X. So we have a straight angle PQX. So we have PQX, a straight angle. Then that is where we have our line now. We are going to place our protractor at Q, or the center of our protractor at Q, as shown in the diagram. Remember, this is the straight angle, so we already have 180. So we have to measure the 60 degrees. So when we add the 2, we will get the 240. So we have measured our 60 degrees. Adding the 2, we will get the 240 degrees that we are to draw. Now you have drawn your reflex angle. Using the other method, you can subtract the 240 from 360, then you draw this angle, the inside angle, and remember to mark the outside angle. That's where your reflex angle is. Let us just conclude our lesson, dear learner. What we have learned today, we have learned how to write fractions of revolutions in degrees. Say for instance, a quarter 10, we say that is 90 degrees, what we call a right angle. And we said a half 10 is 180 degrees, a straight angle. We were able to measure an acute, an obtuse, and a reflex angle using our protractor and getting answers that are in degrees. And we were able to draw acute, obtuse, and reflex angles. Given the size of that particular angle, we are to draw. That marks the end of our lesson, dear learner. Hope you enjoyed your lesson.
Thank you so much, Changsile, for your lesson. And we're hoping that the students back at home really did enjoy their lessons, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Yes, we will be coming back soon.
All right, thank you so much. Form 4s, get closer to your screens, get comfortable, because up next is your biology lesson with Mr. Mluleki Simelane. We'll be right back after this.
Eswatini, your favorite show, is back. The Spotlight Season 2 returns with an exciting new twist. We are taking the kingdom's #1 music talent search digital. One lucky winner will drive away in a brand new Kia Picanto, get a recording deal, and walk away with fantastic prizes, including a trendy Huawei P40 Pro. This year, the application process has been made better, easier, and brighter. To apply, simply follow the application process on the Spotlight and MTN Eswatini social media platforms. And remember to download the Ayoba and Music Time apps on your mobile device to complete your registration into the Spotlight Season 2. Visit yellowhub.co.sz/the spotlight/apply. The audition dates are as follows. Manzini, 26 September to the 1st of October. Shiselweni, the 3rd to the 8th of October. Hoho, 10th to the 15th of October. Lubombo, 17th to the 22nd of October. Shine bright like the star that you are on the Spotlight Season 2.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money Pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
A warm welcome back to Eswatini TV. You are still tuned in to Home Study. A very good afternoon if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Right now we are doing biology for the Form 4s with Mr. Mlulegi Simelane, who is already with me in the studio. Afternoon, Mlulegi.
Afternoon, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you very much.
I'm
How's
good
the cold
myself.
treating you today?
Ish, it's very bad.
It's
very
bad. Yeah, it's horrible.
Horrible. Yeah.
Okay, I understand today we're doing part 3 of classification of
True,
living things.
True, yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4 learners to have learned by the end of the lesson?
By the end of today's lesson, I expect my learner to be able to describe simple dichotomous keys, to use dichotomous keys as well as construct dichotomous keys based on external features of organisms.
Okay, so I will be learning what dichotomous Did I say it right?
Yes, it's dichotomous.
Dichotomous keys.
True.
I'm looking forward to that. Form 4s, I hope you are looking forward to that as well. A reminder that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Please feel free to use the WhatsApp number if you have any questions. Lule, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. So as we have said, we are going to be discussing dichotomous keys today. Dichotomous keys are still under the broader topic of classification and diversity of living organisms. So dichotomous keys are very useful in that they help us to identify new organisms and in order for us to put them in their correct classes. So each and every day we are discovering new organisms. So it is very crucial that we classify them accordingly to the features they may show as well as some characteristics that they portray. So moving on to our topic. So a dichotomous key is basically a method which is used to identify a species by answering a series of questions which are based on contrasting features that have two possible outcomes. I'll repeat that again. A method used to identify a species by answering a series of questions based on contrasting features that have two possible outcomes. So the word dichotomous basically means divided into two parts. That's what dichotomous means. So a dichotomous key is a key that is divided into two parts for each and every possible outcome. So we classify dichotomous keys into two. There is what we call a graphical representation, and there's also a written format. A graphical representation is basically a branching flowchart that has all the images of the organisms that are possibly there. And then a written format is a series of paired statements which are organized sequential. So they follow a certain sequence when you write them. So that is what a written format is. So let us look into the different examples of dichotomous keys, starting with the graphical presentation. So this is an example of a graphical presentation, a dichotomous key which we use to classify vertebrates. So it's phylum chordata. So we use to classify vertebrates. So my learner at home will recall that there are 5 vertebrates that are there. So we're going to use a series of questions to answer so that we come up with the different organisms. The first question that we have is whether the organism has fur. Does it have fur? And you can answer this question into two. You can either say yes or no. So this is the two questions that are there in the first level. So if it's yes, we know that an organism, a vertebrate that has fur, is a mammal. So the first organism is a mammal. So there's the image of the mammal shown there. So we've answered the first one. So if you have answered no at the first level, our dichotomous key continues. Does it have feathers? So the second level is feathers. Does it have any feathers? Again, you can either answer yes or no. And if your answer is yes, that means that organism is a bird. That is a bird. So we have our bird shown there. And then if you've answered no, you still have to answer another series of questions until we've classified all the vertebrates. So the third question is, does it have a dry or moist skin? So does it have a dry or moist skin? So the skin can either be dry or moist. The skin can either be dry or moist. If it's a dry skin, that means that organism is a reptile. They've got a dry skin. And if it has a moist skin, we can further categorize it whether the skin has scales or no scales. Scales or no scales. And if it has got scales, we know that fish have got a moist, scaly skin. And if it has no scales, we know that it is an amphibian which has got a moist skin, but it does not have any scales. So my dear learner, I hope you've seen how we classify organisms using a dichotomous key that is a graphical representation. So that is the first one we have. So moving on, we can also look into another example of what a dichotomous key may look like. We know that the other example that we have talked about is a written format. So a dichotomous key that has got a written format, and the written format shows a series of questions that have to be answered to. A written format can either be in terms of questions, or alternatively it could be in terms of statements. If it is in terms of questions, you either have to answer yes or no in those questions and move on to the different levels. So if it's in terms of statements, you have to follow the statements accordingly and move on with them. So that is what it looks like. So as we move on, we will look into these different types of dichotomous keys that follow a written format. Any questions so far, Nowazi?
Actually, it's not a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. May we please take a little bit of an infomercial break?
Okay.
Viewers at home, we'll be right back after this.
Usiseka, uvuseleleke, wakheke emoyeni ngomculo wetenkolo bahlabeleli balapha eSwatini. Sikulethele abahlabeleli abadala nabo lapha sekhula emculweni wetenkolo bahlabela bukhoma lapha eSwatini. Siphinde sixoxisane kabanti ngalaba kwentako emsebentini wabo wekuhlabelela igospel konke kungidumisa simakathe. Ungaphutshelwa ngomculo wegospel khona lapha eSwatini TV. Praise to God be the glory.
Welcome back to our viewers. This is Home Study on Eswatini TV. We are continuing with our biology lesson with Mr. Mluleki Simelane. Sir, you may please continue with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogaz. So as we've said, the second format is what we call a written format, which could either be in the form of questions or statements that are written. So let us look into our written format in terms of the dichotomous key. So what we have here are as different birds which have got differently shaped beaks. So we're investigating, classifying according to their beaks. So let us look into the first one. The beak is relatively long and slender. The beak is relatively long and slender. So you look, could it possibly be A, and you see that the beak for A is a little bit wide. For B, it is not long. Maybe C. C could be the organism, the bird with a beak which is long and slender. So we can say Cathidia is bird C. The beak is relatively stout and heavy. So if the beak is relatively stout and heavy, the hint says we should go to 2, to the next level. A says the bottom surface of the beak is flat and straight. The bottom surface of the beak is flat and straight. So for those that we haven't yet classified, we look into the bottom surface of the beak. Is it flat and straight? So we look into the different beaks there. So you can see that those have a little bit of a curve. So the one that is flat and straight is organism bird A. And then for B, the bottom surface of the lower surface is curved. So we can see a little bit of the curvature there. So for that, we are told to go to 3. 3 says the lower edge of the upper beak has a distinct bend. The lower edge of the upper beak has a distinct bend. So now we are referring to the upper beak. So which one could that be? That has got a distinct back, it's B. And then the last one, the lower edge is mostly flat. So that is organism D. So that is how a written format goes, my dear learner. Let us look into a written format again of a different organism. In this case, we are investigating plants. Specifically, we are looking into the leaves of the plants. So again, there are a series of questions that you should attempt to. The first one says the organism has got needle leaves. So you go back into the image to look which have got needle leaves. We see that organism B does have needle leaves, as well as organism E. So we move on, and we are told that if it has got needle leaves, let us go to 2. And 2 says the needles are clustered and the needles are in singlets. So we look whether they are clustered or in singlets. So we can see that E has got clustered leaves and B, they are in singlets. Those small spines there, those are the leaves. So we can now classify this accordingly. Those that are clustered is A, and those that are not clustered, that are in singlets, it's B. So we move on now. None needle leaves. We are told to go to 3 for that. And 3 says simple leaves, in brackets, a single leaf. And if that's the case, you go to 4. So which one has got a simple leaf or a single leaf? You can see that's one of them there. And that's another one. And H is another one of those. So you classify accordingly. You are told to go to 4. 4 says they are smooth-edged. And B says they've got a jagged edge. So if they are smooth-edged, we go to 5. So you can see which have got a smooth edge. You can see the outline for A, it's smooth. We can also see that the others, for example, C has got a jagged edge right there. So we now move accordingly. So let us go. We are told to go to 5 if that's the case. Leaf edge is smooth. If the leaf edge is smooth, that organism is magnolia. So that's the magnolia right there. And then when we move on, there is a jagged edge. So if there is a jagged edge, we now go to 6. When we go to 6, the leaf edge is small and tooth-like. B says the leaf edge is large and thorny. For those with a jagged outline, can we see one that is large and thorny? I can see for H that it follows the trend. So that could be the holy plant. And then for A, leaf edge is small and tooth-like. That could be the elm. The elm. So we move on now to those with compound leaves. For B, 3B, compound leaves which are made of leaflets. So that's a hint right there. We are told to go to 7. Leaflets attached at one single point, that's a chestnut, and leaflets attached at multiple points, that's a walnut. So let us look, my dear learner, whether they are attached at one single point. So those are the leaflets. So that is one single point, and those are attached at different points, the leaflets. So you classify accordingly. Those at a single point is the chestnut, and those at different points, it's a walnut. So I hope you are able to follow another example of a written format in terms of the dichotomous key. So we look into a different version of how we can classify the dichotomous key. It's also a classification of phylum Chordata. In this case, it's a little bit different in that those without feathers have now been categorized into the form of fertilization, whether they're externally fertilized or internally fertilized. And if they're externally fertilized, we can further investigate if they've got gills or they've got no gills and classify accordingly. So I hope you are able to see the different versions of a dichotomous key. So sometimes our syllabus requires that we construct our own dichotomous key from a series of hints that have been given. So you should be able to construct your own dichotomous key sometimes. So there are certain steps that we ought to follow in order for us to categorize. So in this example, we first list down the possible characteristics. And every time we're asked to list down the characteristics, try by all means, my dear learner, to use morphological or rather the observable characteristics, something that all people can see. And after you have listed down the characteristics, you ought to organize the characteristics in order. Because remember that a dichotomous key follows a sequence. So you have to organize those characteristics in order. And when you organize them, please start with the most general characteristics before moving to the more specific ones. The general characteristics, for example, in our previous examples where we were classifying the leaves, there were needle leaves and non-needle leaves. So that is almost clear for all to see that these are the needle leaves and these are the non-needle leaves. So that's how we ought to do it. And then after that, you divide the specimens. You can use either statements as we've alluded to it before. For example, has feathers or no feathers, or alternatively, you can use questions. Does it have feathers? And the response is either a yes or a no. So moving on how we create a dichotomous key, you further divide them now on the next contrasting characteristic. Remember, we first started with the general characteristics. So now let us move on by dividing them into the more contrasting or the more specific characteristics. So we continue to the contrasting characteristics after that. Now, after that, you draw a dichotomous key diagram. You can either use a tree diagram or alternatively a flow chart. Because it's a little bit strenuous and time consuming for us to draw, it is preferable that we use the written format. And then after you've created your dichotomous key, it is very crucial that you test to see if it works. So you follow the sequence and see if you're able to classify all the organisms accordingly. Because sometimes you may draw your dichotomous key and find that it does not classify all the organisms that are present there. So please do test it out. So we're going to try to create our own dichotomous key today using certain questions that you may ask. So there are 4 organisms that have been given that we have to look into and create a dichotomous key diagram for. So there's organism A, organism B, organism C, and organism D. The first step, as we've said, is that you list the characteristics. Remember, you list down the characteristics using morphological or observable characteristics. So for our 4 examples there, you can see that there could be differences in the presence of feet. You can see that there are feet, it's one characteristic. Body segments, you can see body segments. The presence of antenna could be another characteristic that we use. So you list down the characteristics. So we've looked into the legs, the different body segments, mandibles, which are the mouth-eating parts, the antenna, as well as the shell. So when we look there, you can see that there's only one organism with the shell. The rest do not have this calciated shell. Or alternatively, we can go with legs. With the legs there, the presence of legs. So when we start with our dichotomous key diagram, we can either use a written format in terms of statements. So if it's in terms of statements, let us say legs present. You can say legs present. If legs are present, we can either say go to 2. That is our A. And if legs are absent, we can now classify it. There is only one organism without legs, and it is the the snail there. So we can now write that this is the snail. And then we move on. We can further classify. There are differences in legs then. We can further classify maybe according to their number. We can say 4 pairs of legs, more than 4 pairs of legs. So in terms of legs, we can say 4 pairs of legs. And then there are 2 organisms with 4 pairs of legs. And we say go to 3, you go to 3. If it's more than 4 pairs, there's only 1 organism now with more than 4 pairs. So that is the centipede. That is the centipede. So we can classify and say that is the centipede there. Moving further, those with 4 pairs of legs, we can look into another different visible feature. For example, we can say it has got a tail. So there's only 1 organism in the 2 left that has got a tail. So tail present, and if you've answered yes to that, that is what we call a scorpion. And then B, the tail is absent, so we can classify and say that is our cricket. So there it is. We've classified those 4 organisms by creating our own dichotomous key, and then we can say that it has classified all 4 organisms. I hope my learner is able to follow that. So moving on, we can look into a past question paper of what a dichotomous key looks like. So whenever we come across questions like this, it's crucial that we scoop all the marks there, because this is just a little bit of practice and we master it. So use the key to identify and name the insects. So this is a group of insects. So the first level has branched antenna, or antenna is not branched. So let us look into the antenna, which are these parts, whether they are branched or not branched. Already I can see immediately that I've got 2 that have got branches. It's organism G right here. These are the branches in the antenna, and organism L. These are the branches in the antenna. So I hope you are able to see that. So now let us answer the dichotomous key. If it has got a branched antenna, we are asked to go to 2. And then 2A says antenna branched at the end, or antenna branched all the way along. So let us look if it's branched at the end or all the way along for these 2 organisms. So you can see that immediately for G it is branched all the way along, and then for L it is branched only at the end. So I hope you see that. And then when it is branched at the end, it is our L, and then this is our G when it is branched all the way along. So we move on. The second option could be antenna not branched, and we are asked to go to 3. And 3 says head has long thin projection. So now let us look for those without a branched antenna if the head has got a long thin projection. And again immediately I see that those with a long thin projection could be H as well as M. Those are the projections of the head. It's H and M. So now let us answer the next question. We're asked to go to 4. Abdomen has no spots, or abdomen with spots. So let us look at spots of the abdomen. So this is the abdomen, the middle, the last part rather. So this has got spots, and this does not have any spots. So those with spots are M, and those without spots is H. So abdomen has no spots, that is H. Abdomen with spots, let me try to recall, it's M. The one that is M. So now we move on to the last one. Front legs extend beyond the head, or front legs do not extend beyond the head. Let us look into that. Which of the remaining organisms have front legs that extend beyond the head, and which do not have front legs that extend? So these are the front legs, and you can immediately see that for this one, they extend beyond the head. That is where the head ends, and these are the front legs. And then these ones, here are the front legs, and the head ends there. So they do not extend. So this could be a front legs extend beyond the head, and those that do not extend, that is J. And those that extend, unfortunately, we cannot see the letter. It's supposed to be N right here. So that is N. So already we have classified using a dichotomous key, and you scoop the 5 marks there. So I hope my learner will be able to scoop all the marks given whenever you are asked on a dichotomous key. So you now write accordingly all the remaining organisms. You fill in there. So now, my dear learner, let us look at what we have discussed already. We have described a dichotomous key as a method which is used to identify a species by answering a series of questions. And we have said these questions are based on contrasting features that have 2 possible outcomes. So every time you ought to have 2 possible outcomes. Remember, the word dichotomous means divided into 2. Divided into 2. So for every level in a dichotomous key, there should be 2 possible outcomes. So we've classified a dichotomous key into a written format and also into a graphical representation. So we've also looked into the 5 steps we ought to follow when creating our own dichotomous key. I hope my learner remembers that. You list the characteristics, and we said you start with the general one. So you list the characteristics, and immediately after listing, you now broaden your characteristics down into more specific characteristics. After you've done that, please do remember to look only into the morphological or observable characteristics. Look into the morphological or the observable characteristics. And please use distinct features that are clear for all to see. So I hope you'll be able to create your own dichotomous keys. You can use domesticated animals at home and classify them. So it could be the cow, the goat, the chicken, and different organisms that are present in our everyday life. And you classify those. So my dear learner, I hope you will enjoy a dichotomous key as you continue with your learning. And please do remember that classification is very important for our everyday life. And for our next lesson, we'll be looking into how an organism is organized, organization of the organism, and I hope you'll enjoy that. Otherwise, I have come to the end of my lesson for today. Nogwazi.
Thank you so much, Mluleki, for your lesson, and we're hoping they learned a lot about dichotomous keys, right?
Correct, that's the one.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, Nogwazi.
All right, Form 4s, please do not go anywhere. Up next is your English language lesson with Mr. Kombisa Lukele. We'll be right back after this.
The change in technology, out-of-home digital media is designed to grab the attention of people who are always on the go. You can now watch your favorite show, Usile Breakfast Show and Dinzaba at 7 on your favorite YouTube channel.
It's simple. You can stream these shows by following these quick, easy steps. Number 1, open YouTube. Number 2, search for Eswatini TV and click on Eswatini TV. Number 3, after you had entered on Eswatini TV, look for Dinzaba or KPS. And while you at it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell button to get notifications of our video uploads and streams. And lastly, enjoy the stream. Stay home and watch Eswatini TV. Stay safe.
Every now and then to check.
Welcome back to Eswatini TV. This is Home Study. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. In case you have joined us, a very good afternoon to you. Right now, we are doing English language for the Form 4s with Mr. Kombisa Lukele, who is already with me in the studio. Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, how are you, Nogwazi?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. How's the cold treating you?
It is a bit cold. It is chilly in Babane, but we are used to it. It's been like this the whole week, yeah.
A bit is not the word I would use, but okay. All right. What are we learning about today in English language?
Today we are looking at informal and formal register in writing.
Okay. What are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
At the end of the lesson, I expect the learner to be able to display knowledge and awareness of both formal and informal styles of writing.
Okay.
And then also to be able to use language and register relevant to a specific audience and purpose.
All right, sounds very lovely. Okay, sir, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you very much, Nogwazi. Allow me to use this as a greeting today. Hey, how's it going? Good afternoon and welcome to Form 4 English language. So today, as already stated, we are looking at what? We are looking at informal and formal writing. So we are looking specifically at the styles that we use in formal writing and also in informal writing. So our lesson today will largely be on what? On the informal aspect of writing. So we said that we're looking at informal and informal register. Let us go back to my earlier greeting a moment ago. I said, hey, how is it going? And I'm sure some of you were shocked or surprised. Say, what? What is he saying? And that's good. That is a good thing, because that means what? It means that you are aware that this environment, this situation we are in right now, does not permit for me to say to you, hey, how is it going? Because you and I are relating not on a or at a personal level, but this is a formal setting that we are talking about. So it would not be appropriate for me to say, hey, how is it going? Because, well, we are not necessarily relating at a personal level like I've already stated, but rather a formal one. So which one was appropriate? Good afternoon. How are you doing today? So that was the most appropriate greeting for this environment that we are in right now. So that talks about what? Register, which is formal, and one that is informal. So when do we use which one? First of all, let us define what register is in language. So in language, register can be defined as what? The use of socially appropriate language. The use of socially appropriate what? Language. Socially appropriate. What does that mean? It means that language that is accepted by society, that is expected by the society, which means that in other words, you are using the correct level of language to suit what? To suit the particular situation, and may I add to, and also to suit the audience, that particular audience that you'll be addressing at that particular time. So that is what register, in a simple way, that is what it is. The use of socially appropriate language. Something that you are going to say, the way that you relate to your sister at home is not the same way that you relate to, say, your mother or to your father. So as much as both of them, these are people that you actually know and can relate to at a personal level. But even then, the way that you talk to them, it's not the same. I'll make an example that I normally use in class. It is that when, let's say you went on a trip, on a school trip, and then you come back from the trip, and then your father asks you, how was the trip? There are certain details that you are going to be conservative with You are not going to talk about those details. You are not going to say those details. But then if your younger sister or any sibling asks you about the trip, there are certain details that are going to include, right? And then again, there's a certain level of formality or even informality that you're going to use when you're addressing both of them. Even though you can relate to both of them at a personal level. So it is important. It is important that you have that awareness of your audiences that particular time and even the context, as we are going to talk about that as we continue with this lesson. All right. For now, I want us to consider these two sentences that are on your screens right now. That is sentence A and also sentence B. Let us look at sentence A. So there's a divide here. So we have got sentence A to the left of your screens, and then to the right is sentence B. Look at sentence A. Sentence A says, "Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for showing up to my birthday party. It really meant a lot to me." All right. "Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for showing up to my birthday party. It really meant a lot to me." And then we go to sentence B. "I am writing to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for gracing my birthday party with your presence." I am writing to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for gracing my birthday party with your presence. Looking at these two sentences, you can tell that the tone is different. The language is different. The message may be the same, but the language and the tone are different. So when you look at sentence A and sentence B, which one would you say is formal and which one would you say is informal or has used an informal register? Between A and B, I'm sure you've been correct that sentence A is what? It is informal, right? And then for sentence B, this is more formal. You don't talk to your friend, or you wouldn't write to your friend the way that it appears in sentence number B. In sentence B, "I am writing to express my sincere gratitude." You can't say a sincere gratitude to your friend and also appreciation for gracing. A friend does not grace your occasion, especially if you have invited them. They show up, they honor the invitation because they are your friends. So you wouldn't use this language that is in sentence B for a friendly register or for a letter or a note to a friend, but rather you would use which one? You would use this one in sentence A. "Hey" is appropriate because that is your friend, right? "Hey," you wouldn't say "Good morning, my friend." No, it's not necessarily expected. You wouldn't expect that. So "Hey" is appropriate. I just wanted to say thanks, right? Not show gratitude and appreciation. I'm direct because that's what informal register does. You become direct, right? You are active. You use an active voice. We are going to talk about that as we continue with the lesson. So I just wanted to say thanks for showing up, right? For showing up to my birthday, not for gracing my birthday party with your presence, but for showing up to my birthday party or just attending my birthday party or just being there. So it really meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot, without being specific what that lot is, but it meant a lot to me. That is accepted. That is acceptable when you are writing an informal register. But then, if say you're writing to a note to probably your pastor who was there, who was present in your party, you'll use sentence B style, right? You'll use sentence B style. I'm writing to express my sincere gratitude, right? And appreciation for gracing my birthday party with your presence. That is formal, right? Because you are now addressing someone that you do not necessarily relate with at a personal level, right? So there's that formal setting that you relate you relate with. So now let's get to the next one. I hope you are following, and then you now see the difference between formal and informal writing. So in writing, you are expected to show awareness of the differences between formal and informal registers and the ability to use the correct register according to the given situation. So we are saying you are expected to show what? Awareness is the key word there. Awareness of what? Of the differences between formal and informal registers, which is what we are talking about. And then again, not just the awareness, but you need to be able to do what? To have that, or show that ability to use the correct register according to the given situation. You should be able to use the correct register according to what? To the given situation. Then a question. On Monday, I was here. We had another lesson where we spoke about 3 main factors to consider before you can actually decide on what? On the style that you're going to use when writing. And by the way, what were the 3 main factors? I'm sure you can recall that we talked about purpose, we talked about what? Audience, and then we also talked about context. Those are the 3 factors that you need to put into consideration before you can actually decide on the style that you're going to use. Even with the register is still part of the style. Whether you're using formal or informal register, it is still under what? Style of writing. Okay, let's look at this. We said that you need to use a purpose. By the way, what is purpose? The purpose, it is when you ask yourself, what is this writing for? What is it that I want to achieve by writing? Right? What is the goal that I want to meet by writing whatever piece that I'll be doing? So here is that we ask ourselves, what is it for? Right. And then when it comes to the audience is not now what, but instead who is it for? That's the audience. So who is it for? As for the purpose, it is what is it for? What is it that I want to achieve with my writing? Am I inviting someone to a party? Am I creating an awareness about a certain disease or about a certain problem that exists in the society? Am I writing to motivate someone? That is the purpose of your writing. And again, the audience, which is the most important element here or factor to consider. Who is it for? Normally, we have got this, I'd say it's a tendency or a mistake that we do that to think that, okay, fine, because I'm writing, there's a teacher on the other side who's going to read my piece, and then we assume that is the audience. No, that is not necessarily the audience. The marker or your teacher is not necessarily your audience. Your audience will always be reflected in the question, who are you writing for? Write a letter to a friend, and then the audience means that it is your friend. Prepare a speech that you're going to deliver before your colleagues. Your colleagues are what? Your colleagues are the audience. And then that means that you don't necessarily consider the teacher as your audience or the marker as your audience, but rather those who have been mentioned in the question that you are actually writing this piece for. If you are probably writing what? A newspaper article, or an article that is going to be published in your local newspaper, then you know that, okay, a local newspaper is read by a wide audience. So it could be adults, people you know, people you do not know. So you are going to choose your language accordingly, right? You are going to choose your language accordingly. So another important thing that we talked about at length on our lesson on Monday when we were looking at style is the issue of what? Of context. Context is important. Context is important. We made an example that as for context, we look at the situation. It is the situation or the occasion at that particular time. Yes, we may be writing to the same person, but then again, what is it that we are talking about now? I made an example of what? Of preparing a speech that is to be delivered before your colleagues. Probably it's at school assembly, or you will be delivering the speech on a speech and prize giving day, right? And the question is that you need to ask yourself again, what is it that I'm doing? That is the purpose now of the speech. If you are going to talk about something that is serious, let's say, for example, bullying that is rife or is on the rise here at school, and then you want to talk about that. So you are not necessarily going to be too casual and use a playful tone, and then just looking at the audience, that okay, the audience are my colleagues, so I can be playful, I can be too casual. The topic is serious. So that is the context. It means that the topic there that you are you'll be talking about is a serious topic, and you want them to take you seriously, and more than anything else, you want them to take action. So you are going to use a more serious tone and not a playful one, because you will be talking about a serious issue, right? So that is where context comes in. Okay, so let's now look at informal register, which is also called the friendly register. An informal register, this is the style of writing that uses language in a casual, personal, and friendly way. It uses language in a casual, personal, and friendly way. The use of a friendly register is not limited to just letter writing, because there is that mistake that normally happens when you immediately talk about a friendly register or friendly writing or friendly language writing or informal register. Most learners quickly think of immediately think of of a friendly letter. So the friendly register is not limited to just letter writing. No, instead, it can also be used in other genres or in other tasks, such as when writing a speech, right? We have already talked about writing a speech. So when writing a speech that is to be delivered to your peers, take note of that. A speech that is to be delivered to your peers. I'm not saying that when you write a speech, we use an informal register. No, we use a register that is appropriate to the audience. So if I'm preparing a speech that is to be delivered before my peers or at school, then it means that I'm going to use informal register because the message is for the students. But then again, we do have formal speech writing, depending again, where will you be delivering the speech? Even if it's school, who is going to be there? If there's a guest of honor, probably the minister is there, or the principal secretary, or any other dignitaries, they are there. Then you are going to have to observe their presence there. So even when writing and using language there, you will cater for them. So you're going to use a more polite language. All right. So again, another example will be when writing an article for a school magazine. The article is for a school magazine, which means what? Which means that the target audience are what? Again, these are your colleagues. That will be your target audience. Your colleagues, your schoolmates. If we can also probably use that one. It is your schoolmates. Those will be your target audience. So you can use again a friendly register in that one. And again, you can use a friendly register when writing diary entries. Diary entries, I'm sure we know what a diary entry is. You know, when you're writing a diary, is something that is personal. It's only meant for you to read. So you can communicate to yourself the best way that you know how. So the bottom line here is that using an informal register is basically you are talking to people, or you are communicating to people that you have a personal, or that you can relate, or you relate to at a personal level. That is why we said that you use casual, personal, and a friendly, or rather in a casual, personal, and a friendly way. Okay. So because we need them to relate to what you are saying. You don't need to sound complicated and too sophisticated for them. Instead, you need to come down to their level, communicate and relate, with them in the way that they know how, in the way that you understand each other. Our next slide now is on on features of informal register. That is what we are now looking at, the features of informal register. Okay, so like I said, this lesson is mainly about informal register, but then there and there we will be doing we will be making those comparisons with a formal register. So now let's look at the features of an informal register. An informal register, it is one that is written for an audience you know on a personal level. I already talked about that. And then also it uses a friendly, casual, or what we call a conversational tone What is a conversational tone? It is basically something like we can refer to it as an everyday language. That is how we relate with each other. Like I said, when you meet your friend along the street, you wouldn't say, "Oh, good afternoon, my friend." Say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" Right? So that's the conversational tone. So you use that kind of a language or that kind of a tone when we are using an informal register. And again, it takes a personal tone as if the writer is speaking directly to the audience, right? As if you are speaking directly to the audience. So that is why you're going to use these personal pronouns, you, your, which is the second person, right? We refer to these as the second person pronouns. So you are addressing them like they are directly in front of you, right? You can use that for example, when you're writing let's say it's a formal register, and then you are addressing the head teacher or your school principal. You wouldn't say there's a problem maybe in the classroom, you've got broken window panes, and then you are writing to the head teacher. It is not appropriate for you to say, we request that you fix this problem, right, as soon as possible, or even worse, ASAP. So we try to avoid the use of personal pronouns when we write formally, but in informal register we can use them. It is accepted. And again, another feature is that for informal register can use the first person, I. That is I, we, us, and obviously others, or even the third person, he, she, they. That is he, she, and they. So it is appropriate. Yet in informal register, that is not appropriate to talk about he or she. Instead, you refer to them directly using their names, or the person in question here will be another phrase that you'll be using. And then finally, okay, it's not finally actually in the slide, it uses simple language, right? Like I said, something that is relatable to them, something you don't want to come across as too sophisticated and complex to your peers, to the people that you relate to at a personal level. But you are going to use simple language meaning that you will also apply simple structures like simple sentences. You can also use short sentences. And of course, when you compare to formal register, it is always the other way around with formal register. All right. So informal text can show, again, emotion. That is through word choice and through punctuation. So informal text you can show emotion through what? Word choice. That is the words that you choose to use, and even through punctuation. So which means that the certain punctuation marks that are not necessarily appropriate for a formal register, but they are appropriate for what? For an informal register. Let's look at this example that we have on our screens right now. It says, "I'm really angry at the way you acted the other day." So I'm really angry at the way you acted the other day. It was rude and downright disrespectful. And I can even say here, how disgusting. Right. So look at these sentences. I've got these. This is essentially, it was just one word a sentence, but now I've made it into two. So these are the short sentences that we say that they are appropriate for what? Informal text. And then also, it shows emotion. Where here's an emotion. I'm stating I'm angry, but you can't say to a head teacher or to any formal person to say, "I'm angry at you." No, you would rather use other polite ways of saying that. Even here, you go on to say disgusting, and then using these exclamation mark, which is an emotive punctuation mark, right? So again, it can also use what? Subjective. Okay, it can also be subjective rather. It can be subjective here, which allows for personal opinion or sentiments by using an active voice. That is the important thing. By using an active voice, which means that in formal register, we cannot do that. Here's an example here. "We don't think it's a good idea to do anything at the moment." Look at these two sentences. "We don't think it's a good idea." So here I'm using an active voice. We, that is myself and also my peers, we don't think it's a good idea to do anything at the moment. So I'm using that active voice and sharing my own sentiments. But then compare this sentence here with this one. in green. It is suggested that no action should be taken at this stage. It is suggested that no action should be taken at this stage. So when you compare these two, the message again is the same, but however, the language and the style of writing is different. All right, so in concluding our sentence, I want us to talk about yet another important part of informal writing, which is the use of contractions. So we've got contractions here, and these contractions that we have here, we've got doesn't, which normally informal writing we would use. Okay, that will be does not. And then we've got wouldn't, which in informal writing you would use would not. And then again, we've got I'll, which in informal writing we use I will. So informal writing it allows for the use of these what we call contractions, you are. And then also it allows for the use of verb phrases such as hang out, hand over, fill me in. What is a verb phrase? A verb phrase, basically, it is a phrase that has what? It carries a verb and a preposition. Then it gives us a verb phrase. So here is our last example here. Let's hook up this, which is a verb phrase. Let's hook up this coming Saturday so we can hang out and probably catch a movie too. So that's informal versus a formal one, which says I propose. So it's not direct to say let's, but it says here I propose we meet on Saturday to spend time together, and not to hang out, but to spend time together. So we may also watch a movie. So that is the end of our lesson, unfortunately, for today. But I do hope that you did get the idea of what informal register is and as compared to formal register. I'll be back on Monday, Nowazi, and with another lesson which will be on informal writing now. That is on informal letter writing, to be more specific.
All right. Thank you so much, Kombisa. We'll see you on Monday, like you said.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, please do not go anywhere. Lerato and myself will be right back after this.
Eswatini, your favorite show, is back. The Spotlight Season 2 returns with an exciting new twist. Taking the kingdom's #1 music talent search, digital. One lucky winner will drive away in a brand new Kia Picanto, get a recording deal, and walk away with fantastic prizes, including a trendy Huawei P40 Pro. This year, the application process has been made better, easier, and brighter. To apply, simply follow the application process on the Spotlight and MTN Eswatini social media platforms. And remember to download the Ayoba and Music Time apps on your mobile device to complete your registration into the Spotlight Season 2. Visit yellowhub.co.sz/the spotlight/apply. The audition dates are as follows. Manzini, 26th September to the 1st of October. Shisalweni, the 3rd to the 8th of October. Hoho, 10th to the 15th of October. Lubombo, 17th to the 22nd of October. Shine bright like the star that you are on the Spotlight Season 2.
Welcome back. Lerato was just telling me that I should say bonjour. Okay, bonjour. It's really funny because we've been greeting people the whole time. So bonjour wouldn't actually work out now. We'd have to find a way of saying welcome back in French.
I think we'll figure that out next time.
Yes, we have to figure that out next time. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in on today's episode. How was it for you today?
Today was very interesting for me. I actually enjoyed the French lesson, hence I said please say bonjour. So it was very intriguing today. How was your day today?
My day was good, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to more French lessons because I was learning a little bit. I learned bonjour, I learned the numbers, I learned them, although I've forgotten some of them right now, but I learned them. I learned bonjour and of course au revoir. I should have said that at the end, but hey.
We'll say it at the end.
Yes, of course. A reminder about our social media platforms. Of course, we are live on YouTube and on Facebook from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. from Monday until Friday.
Also, do not forget to click that subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification. We also have a WhatsApp number which pops up from time to time on your screen. And please do not call us, do not send voice notes, just text us.
Yes, of course, that is true, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you on Monday, or rather you will see us on Monday 2 p.m. sharp. From myself and Lerato and the team, of course, thank you so much, of course, to the team for making us look good, for working well with us. We will see you guys on Monday.
From me, Nogwazi, and the best production team, we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. We hope that you guys keep warm, eh?
Yeah. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye, guys.